Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. So I've been talking to you all for a couple weeks now about wanting to put a walking path in this area of my garden. I have been using this area as a desire path, or I've noticed myself using it as a desire path. And what a desire path is, that's a landscape designer's or landscape architect's term of basically the person who lives in the garden. That's the path that they tend to take to get from point A to point B. So if you notice yourself having a lot of desire paths in your garden, that's the perfect place to install a little pathway there, because you're going to walk that way anyway. And that's what I had been doing in this area. I had just been walking through the garden bed, kind of like stepping over plants, but consistently using this spot to walk through my garden. And so I decided that I was just going to suck it up and I was just going to install a pathway in that area. And I'm so glad I did. Just the other day, Jason and I, we moved this archway over there. And our plan was to basically extend out the gravel pathway to the driveway so that it was really easy for us to not only get ourselves to and from the driveway to the pathway, but also to get our garden carts from the driveway to the pathway. And we did it. It's done. It's all installed. I am obsessed with it. I love it, not only because it's super duper functional, but it's also pretty as well. It adds a different, I don't know, it just adds some interest to this area of my garden, and it's just getting me really excited about this area to kind of plant it up and decide what I'm going to do. So the reason why we didn't film it or we didn't do anything is because we didn't actually do it. We actually have a gentleman who comes, he and his brother come and help us out in the garden with like little random projects here and there. And he was here, and this time of year things kind of slow down a little bit. So he had some time. So I asked him if he could get started on this project, and he finished it like that, like in a couple hours. I was so impressed. These are the same guys that did this pathway over here in my center island over here that is now getting taken over with Supertunia minivista yellow. Oh my goodness, this plant is insane. But if you can see underneath it, I do have a pathway down there, a gravel pathway that's lined in edge-right metal edging. It has some aggregate base down on the bottom, tamped down, and then it has this 3/8 gravel decomposed granite. So that's how we're doing all of the pathways in our garden, and that's how he did this one. And you guys, I barely even had time to grab my camera. Like, I was so impressed with how fast he did it. So I'm really very excited about it, and I'm excited that now I have a pathway so I don't have to walk through the garden anymore. I can just walk through this pathway to get over to this part of my garden, which is just so great. So here you can see it from this side right here. I'm thinking about putting, I don't know, like a pot or something right there on the corner. I was thinking about getting a half wine barrel and turning it upside down and putting a pot on top of it. Wouldn't that be really pretty? So anyway, super excited about this. I'm so happy to have it, and Jason's really happy to have it too. I just watered it down because the gravel was all dusty, so that's why it looks all wet right there. But I just think it looks absolutely fantastic, and I'm just so happy with it. So anyway, my plan for today is I am going to transplant 2 roses. I have 2 Eden climbing roses that was on either side of this metal archway over in the long border. I was trying to grow them up the archway, but there's just too much shade over in the long border. So I'm going to transplant them over here today, and I think that they're just going to be beautiful. I got to show you guys this. Every once in a while, they test military planes. They fly military planes in the airport across from my house, and some of the planes are so cool. They're so neat. And this one, I just saw it wheel by. It's like a super old military plane. How cool is that? They're not even flying it, they're just driving it around. But it's kind of fun to see, it's fun to watch. So over here in my long border are the 2 Eden climbing roses. They're from heirloomroses.com. These are the 2 guys that I'm going to transplant. And that metal arch used to be right here on the fence. And it just wasn't quite the right spot for it. I think because this is a north-facing fence, and it's just too shady on this side of the fence, right? North-facing fences are notoriously very, very shady. I'm having a really hard time figuring out exactly what to plant along this north-facing fence, because when you get close to the fence, it's like full shade, but you get a little bit further away from the fence and it's full hot sun. For instance, I had some bobo hydrangeas back here that died because it was too hot for them. But then as the sun gets lower in the sky, as it gets closer to winter, then you can see, like, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now, and you can see it's full shade, right? And I have a honeysuckle over there that's not loving life because it's too full shade. But then you come out a little bit further and I've got lavender just being happy as a clam. So it's a very weird spot for me, but I'm figuring it out. But I do know that these 2 climbing roses could be happier in another area. So I'm transplanting them over to the arch in the new pathway. I think they'll be much happier there. Everything I was reading said that the best time to transplant roses, the best time for transplanting shrubs and trees and perennials is in the fall, because we have cooler air temperature, but we still have warm soil. But when it comes to roses, especially probably in my area where roses aren't quite dormant yet, the best time to transplant roses is probably in late winter, early spring, like January, February. I'm going to push it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do it now. I think it'll be completely fine because we're cool enough. We're in the 70s right now. But what I am going to do is I am going to cut back these main canes that I have right here to decrease the amount of stress that I have on these plants. And I am going to remove not all of the foliage, but a lot of the foliage. The other thing that I did is before I started filming, I came out here and I watered these in really, really well. And that does 2 things. One, it loosens up the soil around the root ball, so it will be easier for me to pull as much of the root ball out as I possibly can. And 2, it also will hydrate the roots so the plant won't be in as much stress when I transplant it over to the other side of the garden. But, hello, Monty. I have to say, if you are going to transplant a rose, don't be too intimidated by it, because this rose right here, this is my flavorette apricot rose. Here's a bloom. Isn't that beautiful? I transplanted this guy. I didn't defoliate it. I didn't do anything. It wasn't the right time of year. I literally just dug it up and brought it over here, and it did perfectly fine. So, just use precaution with transplanting and transplanting roses, especially. But the most important thing is that you move it to a happier spot, right? And I think that full sun for these guys, they're going to be so much happier than being here and being in all this shade. But before I get started, I want to dig my holes first over here. I need to dig up this Salvia leucantha over here on the right. I have some sedum that I'm going to move as well over here on the left. I also came out here and sprayed this water down this area so that the holes were easier to dig, just to make it easier on myself. I think I'm going to transplant this guy over to the long border, to that area up front that I'm having a lot of trouble with. So I'm just going to go here and here. I'm going to dig my holes first, and then I'll go get the roses and bring them over. Do you guys see those ants? Another ant hill. Just the other day, I hit an ant hill when I was planting that guy. They must have all come over here. Or maybe it's just one big massive ant hill. Do you see this? They're everywhere. Oh my gosh, this is not gonna be fun. All right, wish me luck. I'm trying not to touch it. There we go. Okay, so I got the 2 holes dug and I didn't get too many ants on me, which is good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the holes with starter fertilizer. I am not going to be fertilizing these roses with rose fertilizer because I don't want to stimulate any foliage growth or bloom growth. I only want root growth, which is why I'm using the Sure Start starter fertilizer only. Okay, time to go get the roses. So here's the cool thing about transplanting. If you look at this rose, you can see that I have 2 basically main canes, the big canes coming off of it, and I know I want them to go up the arch. So I can plant this exactly in the orientation I want it to be so that it will grow up the arch in the most perfect way. So I'm kind of excited about that. All right, you guys, I am losing light really fast. I went inside just to take a quick break, get some water, and look at the shadows. They're already covering this whole area. It's just that time of year. Okay, so I've got these 2 beautiful Eden Climber roses. I cannot wait to see how they look next year and even the year after that. They're gonna be so beautiful. Now, I know I love Eden Climbers because I actually had them at my last house, my last property. I had 2 Eden Climbers on an arch just like this in my front yard, and they were just so beautiful. I just loved them so much, and I've been missing them, and that's why I planted these 2 over in the long border. But of course, that was just the wrong spot. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm very excited about my new pathway. It just when things make sense, you know, when you have, like I said, the way to describe it is to have a desire path. When you have a desire path and you know that's an area that you're going to use all the time, I mean, it's just so handy to have a pathway right there. I couldn't be happier about it. So anyway, I apologize again for not getting any footage of the pathway going in. I truly did not expect him. I thought that he was just going to dig out the area today, and he ended up just finishing the whole thing. So no footage except for the after, but the after is really, really fantastic. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.